Alright, everyone. And we are live now from this Super Tuesday. The stream health is going to be pretty iffy to start with. That's because just I'm in my basement. The Wi-Fi reception's not that good, but welcome to Super Tuesday. We're going to be doing a full coverage of all the races, at least on the Democratic side. So let's take a quick overview of what's going on this Super Tuesday. So, on this date, 14 states, 1 territory, and Democrats abroad will all hold their respective primaries and caucuses. A third of the delegates that are up nationwide will be assigned on this date. And the two biggest delegate states, California and Texas, both vote today. Questions tonight is, can Biden come back? Biden had a very good, he started out with a very poor performance in Iowa, a really bad performance in New Hampshire, a pretty bad but still second place finish in Nevada, and then he won the state of South Carolina overwhelmingly, 29-point landslide. Can Klobuchar win Minnesota? Obviously now she's dropped out, but I guess the question is more, can she win delegates? What effect will Mike Bloomberg have on the race? Mike Bloomberg thus far has not been on the ballot in any states. He's gotten maybe 200 write-in votes scattered around the first early 4 states, but he wasn't on the ballot, and so it will be interesting to see, especially with the moderates, Pete Buttigieg, Amy Klobuchar, them dropping out, how their supporters will go. Will they go to Biden? Will they go to Bernie? Will they go to Bloomberg? Or a little bit of all three? And who can win California, Texas, Massachusetts, Virginia, and races like that? So our toss-up races for tonight: Oklahoma, Arkansas, Virginia, North Carolina, and American Samoa are all toss-ups. That means we have no idea who's favored in this race. Although not mentioned in the previous side, Massachusetts is also a toss-up. Let's go back there for a second. So Oklahoma, not a big delegate state, but really any win counts in a race as close and competitive as this. Currently, Bernie Sanders is polling third in Oklahoma despite his front-runner status. Biden is usually first, followed by Bloomberg, or Bloomberg is first, followed by Biden. Arkansas, only one poll has been done. It had Bloomberg in the lead, but it's old, and it also included Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar. So how their supporters would turn out is really to be seen. Virginia, up until recently, polling showed a pretty tight race. There are a few recent polls that had Biden up between 15 and 20 points over his opponents in Virginia. However, it's definitely still a toss-up because we don't know if those polls are outliers or how early voting, because a lot of people voted before Buttigieg and Klobuchar dropped out. In addition to that, North Carolina, sort of the same thing. A state that Biden would probably be likely or solid to win had Bloomberg not entered the race and Buttigieg and Klobuchar both dropped out at this point. I mean, same case with Virginia, although one poll by a Republican-affiliated pollster had him up 27. I'd say the most reliable poll we had Biden up by 8, or there's another that had him up by 4. I think that gives us a much more accurate picture of the race. American Samoa is a pretty relevant race, but it's still a toss-up nevertheless. Only 6 delegates at stake here, but obviously there's not been a single poll taken of American Samoa, probably ever, for a presidential primary. Certainly not a Democratic one, at least in recent history. And Mike Bloomberg actually did have a ground operation in American Samoa. He hired 7 full-time staffers. He's been running ads there. So it'll be interesting to see, even if he doesn't do so well in other places, will he be able to pull off a win here? Okay, moving on to the non-toss-ups now. Maine, likely Sanders. It's basically in his own backyard, although the same could be said about Warren. Polls have shown him up double digits in this state. It used to be a toss-up, not anymore. Utah. Sanders has led fairly comfortably in pretty much every poll taken of the Utah primary. Vermont, Bernie Sanders is going to easily win here, probably by a overwhelming landslide. I wouldn't be shocked if he reached 60% of the vote here. It's his home state. It also has a very good electorate for him. It's lots of white college-educated people, and lots of younger people actually in Vermont. Although it's not like the youngest state or anything, but still lots of younger people. California, biggest delegate state tonight, but we think it's solid Sanders because Sanders has led in pretty much every recent poll of the state by a minimum of 6 points and a maximum of, I believe, 17. In addition to that, we have Colorado. Colorado's some polls have shown it narrowing it a bit, and by a bit I mean to within 8 points. Still, that would be a comfortable Sanders victory, and he'd get more delegates. Alabama, this is the only state we have favored towards Biden as of now. Alabama is basically, there's a good chance it will become South Carolina 2.0. The electorate for the Democrats is predominantly African Americans, a group that Biden demonstrated he has the capability to be very strong with, and also another one of Biden's bases, which is white, non-college educated males. And that combination can mean that Bloomberg can take a lot of votes in Alabama, and Biden will still come out on top. Texas, the second biggest delegate state. The poll of one recent poll had Biden up. We still think Bernie Sanders is favored in this state, simply because early voting plus his landslide victory in Nevada demonstrated his appeal to Latino voters. So we're not going to do our 7 p.m. poll closings quite yet because it is not quite 7 p.m. But there are a few things that really deserve to be mentioned that have not been mentioned yet. One of those is Massachusetts. So that's an absolute toss-up. Biden could be viable in Massachusetts, but most observers agree that it will come down to either Warren or Sanders. And that's really important. It might seem like it's not. I mean, sure, it is a big state, but if Warren only wins one state, it's not a big deal, right? That's not the case. Because if Warren wins Massachusetts, first of all, she'll get a healthy amount of delegates from that state. In addition to that, it will be justification for her to stay in the race, especially considering her strategy means basically including just winning second, or I guess a few first place finishes, but mostly strong second finishes in a lot of Super Tuesday states. That's how she's going to keep carrying on with her campaign, hoping she can basically outlast her better funded rivals. Alright. So the stream health is stable thus far, which is good. We do not have any results out of any states, although we could have results out of American Samoa very shortly. Again, insignificant primary, sort of irrelevant. But again, still, it could be an indicator of really what is to come on this Super Tuesday. For example, if Bernie Sanders wins, it could mean it was a strong night for Bernie. If the winner in American Samoa is Joe Biden, it could mean strong night for Biden. If it's Bloomberg, it could mean it's a strong night for Bloomberg. Yeah, this is going to be a huge test for Mike Bloomberg. Because it's going to really demonstrate how much sway money has in presidential races. And if he wins or does very well, we're going to know that these big dollar advertising campaigns that he's been doing have really paid off. In addition, if Bloomberg does very well and Biden doesn't, that increases the chances drastically of a Sanders nomination. He said it himself. I mean, he said the only way I'm going to win is through a contested convention. I'm not sure. Unless he wins big in Super Tuesday, then maybe that will be a different story. But polling has not indicated that that's going to happen. In addition to that, so Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg, both of them dropped out yesterday and endorsed Biden at a Dallas rally. Also, Beto O'Rourke, who dropped out a while ago, just had recently endorsed Biden. What we're going to have to look at is how Buttigieg supporters and how Klobuchar supporters, especially in Minnesota where Klobuchar was actually leading, will they break to Biden, or will they not vote, or will they vote for Sanders or Bloomberg for that matter? Sanders needs to do well among, I guess, former Pete voters and former Amy voters, as well as draw away some Bloomberg voters to do really well. And if those polls about North Carolina and Virginia were right that had him up by 20, that would be really good for his campaign because he'd pick up a lot of delegates in these states. And these states, North Carolina and Virginia, they both have, I believe, over 100 delegates. I know North Carolina has 101. I think Virginia has like 99. But winning a lot of these delegates would be a really big deal and a really big help for Joe Biden. So I guess for now, since we have 15 minutes, we're going to do a sort of county-by-county analysis of each toss-up race. So up until recently, we had seen that Bernie Sanders was usually winning cities, while Pete Buttigieg and other moderate candidates, Pete Buttigieg first and foremost was winning suburbs. And it'll be interesting to see how Biden does in his absence, or also Bloomberg. And Pete Buttigieg also won a lot of rural counties, white rural counties for that matter. It is basically an undisputed fact that Joe Biden will do very well in black majority or areas where the Democratic electorate is black majority that is also rural. Those counties exist mainly in the South. In states like North Carolina, sure they exist, but it's usually in the deep, deep South, Alabama, Mississippi, to a certain degree, Louisiana and Georgia. And that could be a really strong voting base for him. They also, that base was the reason why he was able to rack up such a massive margin in South Carolina. Because, sure, he won the big cities. He won Charleston by maybe 17%, right? But he was getting 70, 80% in a lot of these rural counties that are African American majority. That's what really carried him over the top and propelled him to an overwhelming victory in South Carolina. However, this could be a lot different than Iowa. Back to my point. So Sanders won a lot of the cities. I don't think that will be the case in North Carolina. Certainly, Charlotte and Raleigh, which are both have very high concentrations of African American voters, I think Bernie Sanders is going to have a much harder time here. However, I guess he could still win if the vote splitting between Joe Biden and Mike Bloomberg is aggressive enough, I guess, per se. And I do expect Bernie to win the whiter areas like Greensboro or Fayetteville. Or let's take a look at. Oh, this is Vermont. Bernie's gonna win over here. The only question is, can anyone else win a county? Massachusetts. Warren has demonstrated her strength with white college-educated people. So in the Springfield and the Springfield suburbs, and Worcester suburbs, as well as Lowell, I think she'll do very well. For what it's worth, I think Warren will probably carry the Vineyard and Cape Cod and that whole area, as well as much of rural western Massachusetts. I feel that also Biden is probably going to do pretty. Yes, Biden, but also Massachusetts has a pretty liberal electorate, and I feel like it would sort of be torn between those three in rural counties. How Bernie Sanders will do with voters of color in Boston. Obviously, Bernie will probably do well also in Springfield, Worcester, and Lowell, but will he do well in Boston? Because Boston, although it's majority white, which probably is a good thing for him, it's also very high education levels. White people who are well educated is one of Bernie's bases, but especially in those more African American areas, how will that affect Joe Biden in Massachusetts? Because if he's viable, Massachusetts is a big delegate state. I believe it's over 100 delegates. So it's a big deal. We have 2 Massachusettses, so get rid of one. Oklahoma. Not much to really be said here because we don't know how the demographics are going to play out. I guess it'll be interesting to see how Native Americans vote because they are a substantial voting base in the state of Oklahoma. Really, whoever wins is going to win because of Tulsa and Oklahoma City. And I guess also the suburbs like Cleveland County, Canadian County, you know, they are sizable counties as opposed to Ellis County or Roger Mills County, which has 8 or 9 precincts. Cleveland County has 84 precincts, not as much as say Oklahoma City or Tulsa, but it's still substantial. Canadian County has 50 precincts. Logan County has 22. Lincoln has 21, and I'm not going to even try and pronounce that. That is 26. McLean County also has 26. Grady County 28. Yeah. Caddo County 21. You see, but as you get away from the Oklahoma City, I guess metro, is the precincts sort of start to thin out. You see down here only 9 or 10 precincts, sure. But the Oklahoma, Tulsa, and the Oklahoma City suburbs are really going to be what makes or breaks a lot of these candidates, especially Mike Bloomberg, who has a chance of winning a state like Oklahoma that has not been very favorable to Bernie Sanders in this primary season, despite him actually winning there in 2016. Tennessee, it can be expected that Biden will run up margins in minority-majority areas again, unless there is really a strong split between him and Bloomberg, although you can probably expect Bernie Sanders, to win a lot of these white cities, essentially. Like, I don't know, like Chattanooga. That is definitely a example of one of the white majority cities, like very white cities, not like huge metros like Memphis. Well, in comparison to Chattanooga or Knoxville. Knoxville has a larger minority population than Chattanooga, but it's not like huge. And I think that Sanders is still more likely than not to win in Knoxville also. Texas, this is a huge one. Fort Worth, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, Corpus Christi, El Paso. All these cities really matter. It will be interesting to see. I expect Sanders to do well on the border counties because they have comparatively much larger populations of Hispanic voters, although it will be interesting to see how Beto O'Rourke's endorsement, his 12th-hour endorsement of Joe Biden, how that will sort of play over with the voters in Texas. The Dallas-Fort Worth metro, that's going to be a really big deal. Tarrant County, Dallas County, these suburb counties. Harris County, that's a huge one. Over 1,000 precincts in this area. The winner here could very well win Texas. I expect Bernie Sanders to probably win San Antonio because there's a much larger Hispanic population in San Antonio. I guess to a certain degree Corpus Christi, although I'm under the impression that it's one of those whiter cities. I keep saying Corpus Christi. It's Corpus Christi. But Houston is sort of a toss-up, you know, because you have a blend. Like in Dallas, Fort Worth, you have more black voters. Certainly lots of Hispanic voters. But compared to, say, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, or certainly El Paso, you have lots of African-American voters concentrated in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Yeah. Okay. Arkansas. This is another toss-up. I can expect Bernie Sanders to probably do well in Jonesboro, Fayetteville, and Fort Smith, again, because they are those sort of white majority cities, although I don't know how Bloomberg is going to do in those places, so we'll have to see. I do expect Biden, however, or maybe Bloomberg if he does well in the state, to carry Little Rock, and probably all the counties on this side of Arkansas, maybe Jonesboro also, because these counties are rural and lots of African American voters are also here. I expect Biden to probably do best in these counties on the eastern border of Arkansas, because that's also where Hillary Clinton did the best because of her advantage with black voters. Um, Whether we will see him reaching into the 70s or 80s, unlikely. Maybe the 50s or 40s, though. Or if he really wins Arkansas by a bigger margin than we thought, he could get into the 60s. I doubt he'll be in the 70s, not to mention the 80s or even 90s, like Hillary Clinton was, because there's a much greater splintering of the African American vote than there was in 2016. Another big one to look at, Minnesota. So Minnesota it's going to be interesting because the Minneapolis suburbs are also going to be make or break for a lot of these candidates. Multiple counties make up Minneapolis, Ramsey County, Hennepin County, uh, but Duluth, that will be interesting because it still has a pretty big, I guess, delegate yield. I wouldn't say they don't assign delegates like that, but lots of precincts there, as well as Rochester. That will be important, though it's not that big. It's also interesting to see how Biden does in this area because this area is Democratic. Believe it or not, they're represented by a Democrat, and he endorsed Joe Biden also recently. His name's Colin Peterson. It will be interesting to see how Biden performs this area as well as Minneapolis, which I previously expected um, in Minneapolis. Okay, and this is the live analysis. Okay, so Biden had a good fundraising month, I believe. Um, yeah, Austin, I also expect Sanders to carry that area, simply because lots of university students there, and he always wins big there. So we're coming up on our 7 o'clock poll closings. Polls in American Samoa actually closed at 3 o'clock, but they're not expecting results until around 6 o'clock. They're not in yet. Let's see. Can we? Yeah. So obviously nothing in. Quite yet from American Samoa. I don't know how they take so long to report the results. Um, I mean, like maybe 500 people will vote in the caucus. Uh, in case you weren't aware, uh, American Samoa cannot vote in the general election, so that sort of depresses primary turnout even more. And it's a caucus, which is like the ultra bad combination if you want people to actually vote, because caucusing is a pain, and that's why nobody does it. Um, except, as you saw in Iowa, older people, although there was a lot of young people who caucused in Nevada, more so than actually older people. That's how Bernie Sanders was able to win such a big majority, because he's getting into the 60s. Sure, Joe Biden's getting into the 60s and 70s with older African American voters, but Bernie Sanders is doing the same with young Hispanic voters as well as young white voters. So the three poll closings we have coming up now: Vermont, Virginia, and American Samoa. Vermont, safe Bernie state. Virginia is a toss-up, although recent polling has favored Biden. American Samoa, it's a complete toss-up, but hate to say it, nobody really cares about their caucus unless there's a very closely contested convention, and then the delegates could matter. Okay. We are now waiting on polls to close. These three combined states, it is worth mentioning, Virginia dwarfs the other two in terms of delegate count, because Virginia is just a much larger state. American Samoa is not actually a state. Again, hopefully you know that, but you might not. American Samoa is a U.S. territory. They can't vote in general elections, but parties still let them vote in primaries. American Samoa is much smaller than any U.S. state. Only about 50,000 people live there. And so it's again, it is a almost irrelevant caucus. Only 6 delegates there. I believe there's something like there are 17 in Vermont. A bit more than American Samoa. Actually, twice as many. Still not a lot. Virginia has, I believe, 98, 99, maybe 97 delegates at stake. So that is a big delegate state. And that will matter, again, especially if there's a close race for the nomination or a contested convention. Every delegate counts. If there's a contested convention, you'll be begging the delegates from Guam, from American Samoa, from the Northern Marianas. Puerto Rico actually has a significant delegate yield, so Puerto Rico already matters. But the Virgin Islands also, they could matter in a contested convention, even though the Virgin Islands is the last state. It's actually not a state, sorry, it's the last place to go. And it's also a caucus, and it's a territory instead of a state. So it's like extra irrelevant because by the time the Virgin Islands usually vote, it's all over, and that's why voter turnout there sucks. However, it could matter in contesting convention. All right, we now have a projection. Polls have just closed, and Bernie Sanders is the projected winner in the state of Vermont. In addition to his win and his estimated amount of superdelegates, he will also pick up how many delegates he gets proportionally. He will also get 3 superdelegates from endorsements from DNC members, a senator, and a representative. We also have a key race alert at this hour, and that is the Virginia Democratic primary is too close to call with 0% reporting. We cannot report results as then no precincts have begun reporting results. In addition to that, the American Samoa Democratic Caucus is too early to call. Simply because caucus results take a long time to total. But we're going to be watching this race closely despite its relative insignificance in the grand scheme of things. So, Sanders has won the Vermont primary. The Democrats abroad, they started voting today. And obviously, although we're not featuring Republican primaries, Trump has won the Virginia primary. However, that is sort of irrelevant because Trump is not facing a really substantial primary challenge to him. Sanders won the Vermont primary, however. That is significant, not unexpected, but it's a big deal. That he won a state, basically, and that's just, it will be a nice boost, even though it's not a lot of delegates. Coming up next, North Carolina poll closings. Not quite yet, but North Carolina is a toss-up. Let's see, do we have any results? No, not from Montpelier, not from Burlington. No, nothing. Let's see if we can find anything from any of these states. Do we have Virginia up here? We don't. Okay, let's get that up. Oh, and Virginia, I guess, was just called for Joe Biden by the New York Times. We're gonna make sure we can verify that shortly. Super Tuesday. Let's get those results up, because I guess we're gonna make a call. I'm very shocked that they would make a call this early, in the state of Virginia. I guess, though, they've gotten enough from exit polls. There aren't any results to come in at all, but we will probably make a call in this state briefly, just because the New York Times, good source, and they're obviously using exit poll information. Huh. Okay, so Biden has won the Virginia primary according to the New York Times. However, we have yet to make our own projection in the race in Virginia. Okay. So, Joe Biden winning Virginia is a good sign, especially this early. Because this means he's probably going to have an advantage with African American voters, and he will stay favored to be one of the front runners for the Democratic nomination. And so we're going to have a lot of information coming in to you briefly. North Carolina might be a poll closing call, although I doubt it because it's probably going to be more competitive than Virginia is. Biden, he's probably going to run up the advantage again in Richmond, in probably the Richmond suburbs. Although I can actually see Bloomberg doing very well in the suburbs now, that especially that Pete Buttigieg just dropped out. Somewhere I know Mike Bloomberg will do well, though it's not a Super Tuesday area, is Westchester County, which is where I'm from. I know people who work for, whose parents work for Bloomberg. I know people who work for Mike Bloomberg. And most importantly, it's his home state. And there's lots of moderates in Westchester County. Hillary Clinton won pretty overwhelmingly last time around. Oh. I don't know why this is doing this. Ignore all of that, because the Google slide just glitched. But we do have a projection. That is that Joe Biden will win the Virginia primary. In addition to his 16 delegates that the New York Times has called for him, he'll get an additional 7 superdelegates if there's a contested convention from the state. So, really good news for Biden, and that's that he won Virginia. There were polls that had Bernie leading in Virginia, so the fact that they were able to call this just so early is amazing news for him. It signals a strong night for Joe Biden in the state with 99 delegates at stake. Yeah. Wow. I'm really shocked because Virginia was one of our toss-up races. I'm really shocked that there was a call this early. I mean, wow. Again, Bernie Sanders has won the state of Vermont. So it's not like Bernie Sanders hasn't won any states. But wow. I mean, so Biden has, as of now, most likely surpassed Bernie Sanders in the delegate count. No, he has not. Because Sanders has gotten at least 8 from the state of Vermont. There was an 6 delegate difference. Biden got 16, so he has had a net gain tonight of 8. Oh no, Biden is in the head now by 2 delegates. He was down by 6 yesterday after his big win in South Carolina. The fact that Virginia is really going strongly for Biden is really, really big news. But we're going to have to watch the Virginia results. We haven't actually gotten results from a single state. But we're going to have to wait for results in Virginia. Because that's going to be really interesting and give us an idea of what's going to be happening. So, thus far, Biden has won Virginia. And Senator Sanders has carried his home state of Vermont. And sure, it's not like the biggest deal in the world for Bernie Sanders to carry Vermont. It's still a reassuring victory. He's probably going to win in a pretty impressive landslide in this state. But, again, it's a reassurance, especially since this state, Virginia, was just called for Joe Biden. And it's a very good sign for the Biden campaign that he's already won a state. Especially a state like Virginia, which there was a lot of concerns that, he wouldn't be able to do well, or actually as well, uh, in the state. Yeah. So Virginia is a huge disappointment for Bernie Sanders. He was hoping he could do well in the state. A call literally as polls closed means that Biden probably won here pretty comfortably. Um, but wow. I mean, it's it could mean that Sanders is going to have a bad night, or simply that he's going to do badly in the South. Um, Still no results though from either Vermont, Virginia, or American Samoa. Um, yeah, the energy was sort of meh for Biden in his recent rally. I watched it and it was not great, but Biden has actually thus far gone against the notion that a zombie campaign can't win. What I mean by a zombie campaign is not that Joe Biden talks like a zombie or anything, although I do admit he can. What I mean by a zombies campaign is that his ground organization is awful. Um, he loses pretty much every debate, with the exception of the South Carolina one, which he only did well because everyone was too busy trashing Bloomberg. Um, in addition to that, he he has gone up and down and up and down in the polls. He lost the first three states, and yet his campaign is still afloat because he won South Carolina. And the sort of invincibility, at least thus far, of Joe Biden's campaign can be attributed mainly to African American voters who have basically buoyed him to doing well in South Carolina and therefore staying in the race. But wow, that's really big news. So thus far, one toss-up race has been called, and it was Virginia, which was called for Joe Biden. Um, I mean, it's just really, really shocking that a call was this early. That could mean that we will have a poll closing call also for the state of North Carolina. I don't know if CNN or any of them have called the race because I don't have a TV on behind me. But wow, it's really, really, really good news. Okay, so we do have numbers. Their initial numbers. They're out of Gills County, which is in the middle of nowhere and also pretty relevant because it only has 10 precincts. However, Biden does lead here by about 16%. But it will be interesting to see if he can actually do well in rural counties as well as cities like Richmond or Alexandria. The DC suburbs will also probably be helpful, I guess. Biden could have been boosted by the South Carolina win, and a lot of voters made up their minds in the last 2 days. So far, Bloomberg is pretty far behind, although this is, again, one of those nowhere counties, only 20% reporting, not indicative of how the state will vote as a whole at all. There was a point in New Hampshire where Bloomberg was winning because he won the town with 6 people in it. He did not win New Hampshire. He got maybe 50 votes in the state as a whole. And so it's again not representative of what's going to probably actually happen. Okay. Well, it's going to be interesting to see if any other candidate can win a county in not Massachusetts, in Vermont. Okay. So Virginia has started reporting their results. Lots of Virginians decided in the last few days. That is a good sign for Biden. When a lot of people decide last minute, that means that Biden generally does well. Another county reporting, another one in the middle of nowhere. Biden leads substantially. It's not Biden who lost. Actually, maybe he did lose a few, like a quarter of a percentage point. It's Bloomberg who just went up, shot up 3 points, because he is currently second in Sussex County. Yeah. So, okay, that's probably why they called it so early. Because Biden had a 30-point edge in favorability polls among Democrats, although Sanders was split 50-50. Fairfax County is actually where the bulk of the votes are going to come from. I think also the bulk of Biden's support is likely to come from the DC suburbs, although maybe not. He will certainly be strong in Norfolk and Virginia Beach because he has that the congressman Don McEachin, I believe, that's in that area. They have his endorsement, and so Biden's probably going to do well. Although regionally, it has not mattered in the past. I think it's mattering a bit more. Especially because we're seeing how Jim Clyburn basically was able to really rack up the margins, for Joe Biden in the state of South Carolina. In the days preceding Jim Clyburn's endorsement, and the debate also, I guess, is fair, but in the days preceding this, preceding Jim Clyburn's endorsement, Biden led by between 2 and 9 points in the state of South Carolina. After that, polls had him leading between 16 and 20 points. Just for reference, Joe Biden was able to carry the state by 29 percentage points because he got 65% of the vote among African American voters. Yeah, okay. So, that little city, in there, yeah. Alright, Norton. Why that is a county, that exists, nobody knows. But, Joe Biden won the county. It is going to be a very good sign if he can do well among white rural voters. Because that means he's getting a lot of Pete Buttigieg people. Yeah. So it is worth noting, Fairfax County is actually mostly, there's Alexandria and all that stuff. Well, but it's mostly DC suburbs, and well, as basically an extension of Washington DC, and Bloomberg, sure, he's gonna do well among suburbanites. We just have to see how badly Sanders does, because he's really struggled with moderate suburbanites, and there are a lot of those people in Fairfax County. I think that's why the call came so early. Simply because Sanders is already underperforming in rural counties. Although I don't want to say underperforming, because I guess Buttigieg has always been carrying rural counties, and it was sort of expected they would go to Biden. Wow. Okay, a few more counties in, including one near Virginia Beach, which Biden leads in much more substantially in. Okay, yeah, no, Biden's lead has jumped tremendously. He currently leads by like 30-something points. Yeah. Huh. Okay. We're gonna have poll closings in the state of North Carolina somewhat soon. No results from Vermont, weirdly enough. But wow. Okay. Sure. Yeah, Biden's winning all these sort of irrelevant rural counties. The only ones that really matter are Fairfax, Arlington, Alexandria, London, I think that's how it's pronounced. Prince Edward County, where's that? There, that's 93 precincts. Richmond and Henrico County, both of which have a lot of precincts. Norfolk, Virginia Beach, which has 100 precincts, as well as Cheapsburg and Hampton, I guess, to a certain degree. Roanoke, is actually surprisingly irrelevant. Only 23 precincts. In addition to that, trying to find the county, though I can't right now. Counties like Suffolk County. Where's another good example? Okay, let's say Suffolk County or Franklin County or Henry County. That's another good example. There are delegates there, but not like a huge amount. Also, Bernie Sanders has won his first county, most likely in the state of Virginia. He has a lead, a very substantial lead, in Page County. Biden isn't even polling relevantly there yet. Whether that will change with time is to be determined. Biden also has a strong lead out of Frederick County. That's one of those counties that matter not like a crazy amount, but they still matter. And whatever that is, I can't pronounce that. But that county, Biden is in the 50s with these two counties. And if he wins really big in Virginia, it's going to be because of these sort of suburban counties. We don't have the same suburban status in North Carolina that we do in the state of Virginia. But it's going to still be interesting to see who can really outperform in these states. States like North Carolina and Virginia that were expected to be competitive and might not be. So Biden leads, followed by Sanders, then Bloomberg, and then Warren. Okay. Not entirely unexpected, although Bloomberg might do better when more suburban counties come in. Let's see how he's doing. Oh, actually, not so well in the sort of suburbs and exurbs. I guess these are more exurbs. Prince William County is a key example of an actual suburban county as opposed to an exurb, like I guess. Frederick County, although maybe that could qualify as a DC suburb. Yeah, actually no, it would because it's sort of separated by rural areas. Yeah, again, what was the margin in these suburban counties? Was it overwhelming? Like, did Bernie Sanders really get blown out of the water in these places? Or was it more competitive? That remains to be seen, really. But Virginia's gonna go away for now. We're probably not gonna look at it once other races start to come in. But American Samoa, interestingly enough, although it's pretty irrelevant, more delegates have already been assigned than exist in all of American Samoa. But we are going to be looking at what's going on in their caucus, although they might have reported results. There's only one way to find out. You know, if Biden has a really strong night tonight, it could be bad for Bernie Sanders because Bernie's going to win California. It is a pretty much guaranteed fact, right? But if it's narrow enough, that could be bad news for him because that's where he's going to really rack up delegates, other than maybe New York. But I think Biden's going to win the other Acela primaries, like Connecticut. He'll do well in Fairfield County. Louisiana is a primary that's after this. It's a decent one because of New Orleans, a lot of African American voters there. Biden will win big there, as well as the rural African Americans, which Biden does especially well with. Other states like Michigan, which are more representative of the country as a whole, mix of suburbanites, rural voters, and African American voters. As well as, it's worth mentioning, states like Wisconsin, which Sanders will be very strong in because they're very white. I'm not sure how well educated they are, but I'd assume pretty well because a poll from not too long ago had Sanders up by some crazy margin in Wisconsin, like 20 or 30 points. And so, states like Wisconsin, what they'll be able to do, let's say Bernie has not such a great night, will he be able to sort of reassure his supporters with a win, a convincing win in a state like Wisconsin? Um, or like a state like Michigan. You'd probably have to invest very heavily in there, especially if there's an either inconclusive Super Tuesday result or if Biden does well. But poll closings are about to come out. Dude, we really don't have any. That's really weird. Vermont is taking their sweet time to report the results. Let's see, what is the margin? Yeah, Biden still leads comfortably in Virginia, although there's 18, more precincts, and yeah, the lowest numbers for Bloomberg. Bloomberg's at 11% in Virginia. Not awful, but it's not great. Look, even, oh, I'm sorry, Deval Patrick hasn't gotten any votes. I sort of feel bad for him, because he was a good candidate. He didn't really get very far. Biden's doing very well in rural counties right now. He's actually doing well everywhere across the state except Page County, where I guess Bloomberg and to a certain degree, I guess Buttigieg is actually almost relevant in this county. I say almost because he has 5% of the vote, but still he's in the top 4. Yeah, no, Bloomberg is actually doing best in rural counties thus far. He's not doing well in suburbs. The only county he's even close in is Sussex County, where he's second right now. Oh, wow. College grads preferred Biden 2-1. Sanders might have been wiped out completely in Virginia. That would be bad. Because if that happens, if that scene replays across the country, then that is awful news for Bernie Sanders. However, the electorates are different. Southern electorates tend to be more conservative. I can't say I'm entirely surprised that Joe Biden has won Virginia, although I am surprised by the margin. Although there were polls that were indicating this, I guess I thought that they were just oversampling Biden supporters, or they were overmeasuring enthusiasm, or something along those lines, or early voters hadn't made up their minds. Regardless, Biden still does have a majority of the vote actually in Virginia, despite it being a 6-way primary where Bloomberg is siphoning off a lot of his supporters. Wow. It might narrow a bit as more rural counties come in, because Sanders still has the opportunity to do well in rural counties. This county, I'm not gonna try and pronounce that either. I think Bernie Sanders is like really getting crushed here. And you can see why. Because Bloomberg only has 5% of the vote. That's how Joe Biden is able to get to 70% of the vote in this county. As you can see in the size of lead map, most of Biden's lead is coming from these counties, even though a few precincts are reporting. Although, I think the suburbs are really going to run up Biden's margin. How well he does here, especially if he wins it very convincingly in Fairfax County, that will be awesome news for him. The fact that Bernie Sanders didn't win here is amazing for the Biden camp. It is a massive relief. Let's update. Yeah. Okay. So if Bernie got wiped out in the Virginia suburbs, that is a bad indicator for his performance in the South. Not for California, however, because the demographics are way different. I'm not gonna say black voters are absent there because that would not be true at all, but there are fewer in comparison to states of the Democratic electorates like North Carolina and Virginia, which basically the recent Democrats win those states. Virginia, sure, suburbanites help a lot too in the DC suburbs, but especially North Carolina, states like North Carolina, Georgia, I guess Florida to a certain degree, but all 3 of those states, in addition to if a Democrat is able to pull off a win in Mississippi, it's become because of African Americans. Hillary Clinton won Virginia because of a combination of support from African American voters and suburbanites, and Biden is very strong among both suburbanites, especially those who were moderate Republicans who have either crossed over to the Democrats or just voting in the primary and staying Republicans, or independents too, who are more moderate, as well as African American voters. And I guess Virginia is would be in theory one of his best states, although we overlooked it because Biden, his sort of dream electorate is in Virginia. That is not the case in California, which I still expect. I'm sorry, Sanders to win, uh, somewhat comfortably, probably by something like, I want to say 20 points. But I don't want to. I also said that Sanders might win. Okay, so they're waiting, but we're gonna run on down here. Okay. So we have our 7:30 poll closings at this hour. Polls just closed in the state of North Carolina. However, they will not be reporting results for another 30 minutes or so because of some sort of issue. North Carolina is too close to call currently. We might have to change that to too early to call, considering Biden's advantage in Virginia. In addition to that, the American Samoa Caucus, although it did not close, it is still uncalled, so we're keeping it after to keep an eye on results. Too early to call, 0% reporting, no results in. And what happened here? That is now the pressing question. Why aren't results going to come in for North Carolina? I guess they had some issue. Oh, wow. Okay, so it's pretty likely that Biden is going to win in North Carolina. If there's another instant call for him, then I'm going to have to start calling more states instantly for Biden that have large African American electorates, like possibly Arkansas. Oklahoma is not that way, really. Oklahoma, not too many African Americans, though. The Democratic voter base is a combination of, well, the only substantial group in Oklahoma that actually votes for Democrats is Native Americans. Uh, Although it's substantial in quotes, like maybe 10% of Oklahoma is Native American. But it's better than nothing. Okay, so Joe Biden was being Joe Biden eating ice cream with aviators. Yeah, so they're not reporting. Voting was okay. 8:10 it is, because they won't report the results because there was a ballot shortage, which means high freaking turnout. Um, who that's good news for remains to be seen because it's either high turnout with young people or high turnout with black voters. High turnout with young people, unless Joe Biden has some sort of major movement with them, probably would benefit Sanders. In a state like Virginia, especially, if there was a boost in turnout among African American voters, that would be a big freaking deal. Because, again, unless Sanders has some sort of movement we haven't observed yet with African American voters, then it's going to be hard for Bernie Sanders to do well in an environment like that. Is that what okay, so Elizabeth Warren is actually second right now in Arlington County. Almost all of London County is reported, and Biden has a substantial lead. Uh, he's, oh my god, he is blowing Bernie out of the water in the DC suburbs. Not really that shocking. I will admit, I'm a little bit surprised Bloomberg is doing so badly right now. Although I guess a lot of his friendly turf hasn't reported in. Discard what I said about Bloomberg being strong in rural areas, because he is not. He's just as bad there as every other parts of the state, if not worse. Let's look at turnout. Is turnout good? Turnout could be like 1 million people. That would be huge. That would be really, really a big freaking deal. Biden's leading every sizable district. The only one that Sanders leads in are Russell County, where actually Bloomberg is second and Biden is struggling to stay relevant in this county, and Page County, which is also, I guess, a huge irregularity because Buttigieg is fourth and he dropped out yesterday. Results are reporting in really quickly. I wish I could say the same about Vermont, which has not reported a single vote yet. We will have to move North Carolina back to the 8 o'clock poll closings as well as American Samoa because we do not have results either of those places. Let's look at the size of the lead because that's really important to take into account. Biden's lead thus far is coming from suburban counties. Henrico, yeah, that's how you pronounce it. Henrico County, Biden, that is a suburban county. It's a suburb of Richmond. Chesterfield is also a suburban county, although it probably includes pretty decent portions of actually the Richmond, as well as Henrico County, just because they're larger precinct-wise than Richmond. Can Sanders win Roanoke? Because it's sort of different than the rest of these places, although considering his weakness across the state, I would be genuinely surprised if he did. Biden currently has a 30-point lead. He is blowing Bernie Sanders out of the water. For reference, if this margin holds, it will surpass South Carolina's margin by about, actually, not that much, only a point. I keep thinking that Biden's only won by 17 points in South Carolina. He won by 29 or 27 points. Did someone call? Okay, no one has called North Carolina yet. Yeah, no, they haven't had any votes there yet. Okay, so we might have a projection coming up soon, and it is also one of those big deal races. Okay, good. We do have a projection slide for North Carolina, so I'm gonna. Oh, and I just gave it away, but I think you can guess who we're calling North Carolina for. Just from what we've seen so far, combination of exit polls and Virginia results mean that. Oh, and they got to it before me. Joe Biden has won the state of North Carolina. If only my iPad were faster, and then we could have it on our own wonderful Google slide. But so yeah, we are now projecting that Joe Biden will win the state of North Carolina plus its 3 superdelegates. Pretty big news, actually, because this was another one of those toss-up races that we didn't know who would be advantaged in. And North Carolina, Biden wins. The question is, can he run up the margin like he did in Virginia? Oh, wow. Okay, so he captured around 60% of the African-American vote, or 66% since they said 2/3. Wow. Wow. Okay. Biden is crushing it in southern states, including Virginia. Bloomberg just passed Warren. Is that going to be a actual thing that happens, or is it just because he's getting 10% in so many suburban counties? Okay, so Sanders won another one of those sort of irrelevant counties. It is worth noting, where usually where Biden is failing miserably, that is where Bloomberg is doing well. As in Sanders is leading overwhelmingly. He is looking like he's gonna win Russell County. He's probably gonna win York County. I'd be kind of surprised if he didn't win Richmond. As in Joe Biden, definitely not Bernie Sanders from what we've seen. Everywhere else across the state. And Fairfax County hasn't even reported, and Joe Biden has a hugely, huge, insurmountable lead, I would say, in this primary so far. He just gained a 1/10 of a percentage point, which is okay. Abigail Spanberger endorsed Joe Biden just now. She is a very vulnerable Democrat. Why does that matter? So that matters because more endorsements from swing state congressmen means that there's a lot of perceived electability on Biden's part, and that is how he wins. Wow. Okay. I'm trying to eat my dinner here. But this is really exciting. Okay. Okay, yeah. Thanks for the comments, I guess. But Joe Biden has won North Carolina. Mike Bloomberg, who boasted about how he could get it done, is not getting it done right now. He's in a distant third in Virginia, which was supposed to be one of his good states. Although North Carolina is where he was polling best, so maybe he can pick up some delegates. If he doesn't get any delegates, he'll just drop out. I mean, or if he gets very few, like I can see him picking up maybe a few in Oklahoma, and still dropping out. Okay, the first result came in from Vermont. Unsurprisingly, Sanders is knocking it out of the ballpark. Although Biden could pick up like one delegate if the results from this county hold. Statewide, obviously. We're going to move this up here for the sake of convenience. Another big question, although it's not really one I can answer, probably ever, unless we get one out of her, is why is Tulsi Gabbard still running for president? She hasn't gotten a single delegate anywhere. She hasn't passed 5% anywhere either. I think at this point she's literally just running to be a Fox News contributor. She's always on there. It's kind of ridiculous. But you know what? If she thinks she's going to get money that way, then she can be my guest. It is worth noting that Joe Biden has flipped Page County. Sanders had like 60% of the vote there 5 minutes ago. Now he is leading. And Amy Klobuchar is in a surprisingly strong third place ahead of Mike Bloomberg. Yikes. Even though she dropped out in Madison County. Again, Madison County is a irrelevant county. It's more relevant than some of these other places that have literally one precinct. But it is still irrelevant because 10 precincts is really nothing when you compare it especially to a county like Fairfax, Prince William, London, or Frederick County, or Richmond, or Chesterfield, or Henrico, or Virginia Beach, or any of these counties. It's really not a lot. And as you can see, most of Biden's lead right now is coming out of London County, which reported its results ridiculously quickly, as well as the Richmond suburbs / metro area, although he is doing very well in Norfolk and Virginia Beach. A very surprisingly actually strong showing in the state of North Carolina. And that is mainly attributed to Biden's massive strength with black voters, as well as his strength with suburban voters, because before they were fully on board for Mayor Pete, now that he's dropped out and endorsed Biden, I guess a lot of them are splitting to him. And, you know, there's a real disliking, even among the center lane of the party, of Mike Bloomberg. And I guess if you're not supporting him already, you're unlikely to in the future, I guess. A Vermont exit poll appears to have Biden clearing the 15% viability in Vermont. But Hillary Clinton did not, so that would be interesting to see. I can imagine that the Reddit community for Bernie Sanders is probably going nuts right now because they just lost two key states. Although it is unclear if a blowout like what we're seeing thus far in Virginia, and a blowout like where we saw in South Carolina, will sort of recreate itself, in the state of North Carolina, or will it be a smaller Biden win between like 9 and 12 points? That remains to be seen, and that's going to be one of the big questions, for Biden racking up his delegates. I'm going to look at some initial reactions. Um, yeah, wow. Okay. Um, Biden now has a lead in national polling, apparently. In a morning consult poll, he leads by 8 points nationally. Uh, Probably a majority of those voters, well, chances are they come from places like Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, all those states. Um, it is obvious now that Joe Biden will win Alabama in a stunning and shocking landslide. Uh, Considering that Virginia was supposed to be close, and now he just won by possibly as much as 30%. Yeah, a really big disappointment, um, on for Biden. I mean, really, really. I'm sorry, Bernie. A huge disappointment for Bernie, in losing both North Carolina and Virginia. A sigh of relief for Biden. It's not an unexpected win, but a catastrophically large win, like this in the Virginia primary. Not good sign for Bernie. The fact that North Carolina was called so early is not a good sign for Bernie either. Um, let's go to Vermont. Okay, 2 counties in Vermont reporting. Joe Biden is still clearing. Oh, and I guess we have American Samoa results out. So let's take a look at that. Um, huh. So we're gonna. Okay, we now have a, again, projection in an irrelevant state, but one that I guess could matter. And that is that Mike Bloomberg has won the caucus in American Samoa. He's not going to get a lot of delegates, but it is his first win of the night. I guess you could sort of call it a sigh of relief for his campaign, because at least he's going to win somewhere, right? Um, but again, he's the only candidate who invested literally any money into the territory. It's not shocking that he won there. Let's see how much he won by. Yeah, so South Carolina really did a service for Joe Biden because he's winning Virginia by 35 points right now. I mean, completely blowing Bernie out of the water. Wow. Oh my God. It is. Wow. It's really shocking to see this margin sort of pile up and pile up and pile up. It just gets bigger and bigger. Um, we went from Biden leading by about 16 to now Biden leading by about 35 points, 32 points, something like that. And as you can note, Biden is not as strong in the. Oh no, never mind. He is as strong in rural counties. He's actually stronger in rural counties, it would appear, because he's getting into the 70s there. He's holding into the mid 50s in most suburban counties. Okay, nothing really changed there. As you can note, Sanders, it looks like he's gonna win that county, although Pete Buttigieg is actually second there, which is really, really strange. Um, so Sanders did win this county, Waynesboro, and he did win. Actually, we don't know if he won Charlottesville yet. That would be sort of weird because Biden's whole like launch rally was like, "Oh, I'm running because Trump didn't condemn the people at Charlottesville, and I wasn't gonna do it at first, but it's like essential now." Is Sanders really leading in Richmond? There's one precinct reporting, so I mean, you sort of gotta take that with a grain of salt. If he won Richmond, that would be pretty good for him. For a second, I thought 67 counties report. Wow. No. One precinct reporting. Biden can definitely turn that around. Although, if Sanders wins Richmond, at least that will be good news for him. Although he's like barely winning right now, and there's a single precinct reporting. Again, you have to take it with a grain of salt when there are that few results in. Nothing out of, again, I expect, from what we've seen so far, Biden will probably run up the margin in the Charlotte suburbs, Union County, Mecklenburg County, that's actually an urban county, Wake County. The Raleigh and Charlotte is where Biden's going to win overwhelmingly, as well as African American majority areas. Like I believe Richmond County is a rural county that is African American and majority. Hmm. Interestingly enough, okay, no, never mind. Sanders had a county down here, and it just flipped back to Biden, I think. Where is it? Okay, yeah. No, he was winning York County a few minutes ago, and now he's just getting blown out of the water. Okay, 69 counties. That's how many Joe Biden has won thus far. Danville, a relevant county, but Biden is in the 70s there. That is really something. Wow. Just to give you an idea of how irrelevant the results out of Richmond are so far, it is the two bubbles completely overshadow Richmond and its results impact because that's how tremendous an impact it's having thus far. Compared to Richmond, which has like no votes reporting at all. So Fairfax yet to report. Prince William has reported, and it is another strong county for Biden. He is getting a small boost from rural counties because they're coming in pretty well for him, I'd say. In some counties, he's in like the 70s, which is really something. But yeah. Oh wow. Oh my god. 4-1 over Sanders. That means he got like 80% of the African American vote, which is god awful for Bernie Sanders. That means he probably won young African Americans too, which is also pretty bad for Bernie. You know, it's really yeah, Bloomberg got a big win. American Samoa. Oh, Tulsi Gabbard won her first delegate, so I guess that's her excuse to stay in the race. American Samoa results. Let's see if we can get actual numbers here. Um, hmm. I can't find it anywhere. I'm not getting anything. All you can see is that. Okay. Wow. So Biden wasn't even relevant here. Oh my God. Bloomberg won pretty overwhelmingly, but then again, all 200 people, 300 people who voted in American Samoa, they're not going to have a huge impact on the race as a whole. Biden, however, did. Bloomberg got 5 delegates. There's a plan from Yang supporters to get him a delegate in American Samoa, but he apparently got no votes. Wow. Okay, that's pretty good news for him, I have to say. Is it close to 8? It is close to 8 o'clock. We're going to have our 8 o'clock poll closings somewhat soon. Yep, Alabama. Okay, so our 8 o'clock poll closings, which are coming up next. Alabama, which we think Biden was already favored in. I don't know why it says lean. It's actually, we have a likely rating for Biden. We had one. I guess it's probably pretty solid for him now. I mean, Bernie is really getting clobbered with African American voters. At least so far. Is he still? No, oh, yeah, he is, but it's because no results have reported anywhere. Again, it will be a little weird if like the only county that Bernie wins in Virginia is the one where Joe Biden launched his campaign. I mean, it's not really a big deal because it's like 14 precincts, but it would still be, I mean, I guess ironic to say the least. But then again, that's like if Joe Biden won a random rural county in Vermont that Bernie Sanders happened to have a vacation home in. Like that would be the sort of, I guess, equivalent. He is destroying Joe Biden right now. Although the margin sort of varies. Bloomberg is not doing so hot really anywhere. Other than American Samoa, the all-important primary. Yeah, the North Virginia suburbs are overwhelmingly breaking for Biden. Okay, it made it seem like so many more results just came in. They didn't. Or maybe they did. Did they? No, they didn't. A few more counties reported, and they're not really big ones. The really huge oh no, actually Virginia Beach is 100% in. And Norfolk is pretty close. Roanoke, Biden leads there. How much? 20 points, okay. I never thought I'd be saying that, but he's leading like 35 points statewide. Overwhelming landslide victory, in this state thus far. Yeah, Sanders leads in Vermont. By less, though, than Biden leads in Virginia. Just, wow. Yeah, okay. Wait, no, that was some bad math. That is not true. Sanders leads by 34. Biden leads by 32. In their respective states that they lead in so far. Oklahoma. Yeah. I mean, I think it is possible that Bloomberg wins Oklahoma still, because the electorate is very different than in, say, Virginia or North Carolina. We have 3 minutes till poll closings, and results are actually reporting pleasantly quickly. I do have to say, Virginia will probably be 100% in by the time this live stream ends at 10 o'clock. Unfortunately, I'm not able to stay up for the whole thing, because I have school tomorrow. But, you know, oh well. Do what we can. So congrats to Bernie for winning his state, and congrats to Biden for his freaking blowout win in Virginia, or at least what looks like a blowout win so far. You know, it's kind of weird because Biden's been spending all of his time in California. I guess because he wants to limit Bernie's delegate yield there, but he's really getting like his butt handed to him in California polls. However, if Biden overperforms well enough, then he could be competitive there. You know, it's kind of ironic because everyone had counted him out before. Everyone said Biden's not going to be the nominee. Now he's a pretty good chance, I'd say. Especially if he wins Texas, then that is a huge deal for Joe Biden. However, the results in Virginia, the results in North Carolina, sure, they're indicative for a state like Alabama, maybe Arkansas. They're not indicative of what will happen in California, Texas, and Oklahoma, all of which are pretty competitive. Well, actually, not California at all. But Texas and Oklahoma, they're not indicative of what will happen there because the electorates are very different. Lots of Hispanic voters who favored Sanders really overwhelmingly in Nevada there. in Texas. The stream health, I'm sorry, is not great, I guess. Okay, we have poll closings coming up in the state of, actually, let's go back. Alabama, Massachusetts, Maine. It says lean Sanders, but it is likely Sanders in reality. I don't know why there's so many problems with the slide. But so Alabama, Joe Biden's probably gonna win that state. I have to say it. Like, if you thought Virginia was a good state for him, Alabama is 100 times better, because although there are no suburban voters there, it's really just rural white people, rural African Americans, and African Americans in metros. All three groups, Biden has done very well, especially in the South thus far, through Super Tuesday. Poll closings. And we now have a projection out of the state of Alabama, and that is that Joe Biden is the projected winner. He will carry that primary and 2 superdelegates, at minimum, from the state of Alabama. Key race alert. Actually, it is not too early to call, and we will have to update it quickly. However, Texas, the Democratic primary is too early to call with 0% of the votes reporting. Tennessee's Democratic primary, too close to call, 0% reporting in Tennessee. Maine's Democratic primary, too early to call, 0% reporting in that state also. Massachusetts, too close to call, no results reporting there as well. And then 8:30 will be Arkansas. Let's look at what the New York Times has done. What's going on in... no call out of Tennessee yet, because that is a weird state demographic-wise. Minnesota's not going to be in for a while. Alabama. All these states were waiting for results. I expect to see Alabama called right away. I would really be shocked if it wasn't. Maybe Tennessee too. We might have to call that state for Biden. As in Tennessee. Alabama's already been called. But if Bloomberg is able to do well enough, then maybe not. Let's see. I'd really be genuinely, really, really shocked if Biden doesn't win Alabama, because seeing how he's, destroying the competition, in Virginia, and I guess thus far in North Carolina, although there are no votes reporting there. Oh, there are. The lead is not huge, but that is because these are initial results from the middle of nowhere. Bloomberg is much stronger so far in North Carolina, but Biden still leads pretty healthily. Yeah, their initial results when Pete Buttigieg is at 8.5% and he's not even running for president anymore. I expect Biden to probably expand that margin, although how much, we don't know. Yeah, no, I think Biden's margin will certainly expand with more African American votes, especially according to exit polls. Okay, stream health is good again. Okay, Biden is back in the lead in Richmond, although it is not nearly as overwhelming as it is in other places. It's probably why he has taken a small dip, as in a 1% dip in his margin. Let's see, do we have calls? We do not have calls. Oh, we do. They called Alabama, which is really not surprising. Yeah. No, watch that margin in wherever, North Carolina. Watch that margin increase. Although I do think Bloomberg he might be viable in North Carolina. He might pick up some delegates. Biden still is favored. I'd say in this state, as in he will win because we've projected that he will win. Um, yeah. So, huh? Okay. Um, he's really getting clobbered in a lot of these states, as in Bernie Sanders is getting clobbered. Obviously, not Joe Biden because he leads. Bernie Sanders has gotten at least one delegate from Virginia because he is polling above viability. What? Okay, never mind. I thought it said that four precinct county was carrying Biden's lead. It is not. Um, so Sanders is viable in Virginia. Sanders, Biden might be viable. He's viable thus far, from what we've seen in Vermont. I'm not gonna even bother and find the Alabama results because we already know how Biden's gonna be doing there. Polls have closed in most of Tennessee. Emphasis on most, so we're probably not gonna get a full picture until much later. Um, yeah. So polls are not gonna close in Minnesota for about another hour. Huh. Yeah, split among liberal voters, and Biden, I guess, is carrying moderate voters pretty healthily. Let's see if we can find any more state calls from NBC. NBC News. There we go. Mike Bloomberg won his overwhelming victory in the territory of American Samoa. He got 5 of the 6 delegates. It's actually, uh, you know, it's nice for him, because he's having such a bad night. Did they remove their call from North Carolina? I guess they did. Did they? No, they didn't. It's just because they only have initial results. Yep, he just claimed his 3rd win of the night. Okay, so they are still keeping their call out in North Carolina. They did not remove it. Again, nobody has voted yet. It is completely initial results. And it's out of, again, middle of nowhere counties. Yeah, I expect North Carolina, however, will be narrower than Virginia, where Bernie Sanders is being absolutely and completely destroyed. Though he's not doing too badly in Richmond, I do have to say. Sanders aides are still optimistic that he will do well as the race moves west. Honestly, I have to agree with them. Sanders will do better in the western states. Okay, so there is panic among Bernie supporters apparently. Not sure why, but I guess it's sort of a reactionary thing. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Do we have any more state calls? I imagine not. No. Although Alabama, I don't know what is up with this thing. Well, regardless, they still called it for Biden. Biden is racking up the margins in these suburban counties keep in mind that a lot of Fairfax is still not in, so he has the opportunity to continue to boost his advantage in this state. Oh, they're doing that weird thing because they don't have full results in. I hate that. Hmm. Yeah, so they announced it. Okay, so they are why can't I speak? They are keeping their North Carolina call. Because Biden is clobbering Bernie. Although, uh, yeah, Bernie apparently got clobbered with African Americans. I guess why they're keeping their call. Um, yeah, Bloomberg is doing actually decently thus far in North Carolina. Whether that will change or not remains to be seen. Uh, Biden's margin has sort of stayed the same, more or less, in the state of Virginia. I guess that's because most of the big counties have reported close to all of their results, with the exception of Fairfax and Arlington. Never mind. I take that back. Oh no, Richmond is actually reported. Richmond has been fairly competitive, to be honest. Compared to the rest of the state, Biden's only leading by 9 points there. As opposed to say Fairfax, where he's up by like 30 something. Pretty. Uh, huh. That's really interesting. Biden's lead, did it just shrink? It did, because there's a Bernie County coming in from the middle of nowhere. Um, Sanders leads in Tennessee. Biden leads in Oklahoma. Biden is killing the other voters in Arkansas, and that is because Mike Bloomberg is actually second in Tennessee. Oh, and that's because there's one county reporting, and it's here. Okay. Yeah, no, you know that the results are not indicative of what's going to happen overall when Amy Klobuchar is 10% of the vote in a state that is neither her home state nor. What's it so far? Yeah, Sanders not doing so well in a lot of these southern states. Texas. We don't have results out of Texas yet. Let's look at Arkansas. How I guarantee you this. Yeah, this is one of those rural counties, isn't it? It is. Wow. Um, yeah, that's not gonna be the overall trend that we see. Biden is getting some endorsements. Although Bernie could win Tennessee, it is obviously too close to call. We are not gonna call the race. Definitely not for Biden in Tennessee because Sanders still leads there right now, at least for now. That 37 in Arkansas is not. That's not gonna happen everywhere else. You know. Yeah, we're looking at a strong Bloomberg performance in rural parts of the state. especially where. But again, gotta wait for Charlotte to come in. Gotta wait for Raleigh to come in. That's gonna be where it's gonna be really making a difference. And Pete Buttigieg is leading. These are almost all initial results, so that's basically irrelevant. I'll give you an example. Sanders was clobbering Biden in a Virginia county earlier, and now he is. Yeah, but Bernie was leading earlier in a Virginia county by like 40 points in initial results. And then he went on to lose that county by like 30 points to Joe Biden. So initial results don't mean that much, though it is noteworthy that Sanders is performing better here than in Virginia, at least so far. Mostly because he is not doing as badly so far in rural areas. And then what is this county? What? Oh, okay, this is also Dare County. I don't know why it acts like this isn't Dare County. It is. Um, let's take a quick peek at Vermont. Where might they be? Oh. Yeah, Joe Biden has yet to win a county. So, is he getting close anywhere? No, he's not. He's not close at all anywhere. Wow, he is really not close at all anywhere. Yeah. Biden is now a favorite to win the most delegates tonight. Oh, I'm waiting. I'm gonna take a look at Alabama if there are any results reporting in that state. Bloomberg leads in Oklahoma. Tennessee, Biden's back in the lead, and Maine. Whoa! If Biden won, Biden's not gonna win Maine. That is like Sanders winning in Tennessee. I kind of doubt that's gonna happen. Yeah, Biden's killing Bernie in another rural county. It's really. We're gonna have to look at Oklahoma because Bloomberg currently leads there, and if he won there, oh, it's mostly yeah, okay, it's more middle of nowhere counties reporting initial results. Again, although it's like how we're seeing Bernie Sanders is a bit stronger, probably more than a bit stronger in North Carolina than he is in Virginia. We're also seeing that uh, Biden and Bloomberg are dominating in Oklahoma, which is weird because Sanders actually won here back in 16. He won pretty handily in Oklahoma, if memory does serve me correctly. And Biden is expanding his lead now over Senator Sanders, and how he is doing that I don't know because votes are really not coming in from anywhere. Oh, maybe they are. Okay, yeah, no, these two counties are probably reporting more precincts. I expect Biden to hover around the 50% mark in Virginia. Okay, so not great youth voter turnout in Virginia and North Carolina. Yeah, Amy Klobuchar is leading in a county. That is weird. Bloomberg, no, not Bloomberg. Biden and virtually. Biden, Bloomberg, and Sanders are virtually tied for first in this county. Lincoln County initial results. Biden is taking the lead in the state of Oklahoma. Okay, that's not a shocker per se. I already have Oklahoma. I don't know why. High turnout in Texas. So we're seeing high turnout in these states, but not great youth turnout, which means lots of old to middle-aged people are voting. And I guess what we would see is that the youth turnout is low among white people, and higher among African Americans, because that would explain how Joe Biden is doing so well. Because Biden actually did win the African American youth in the state of South Carolina. Now, okay, it is still initial. Oh, they do it by township. Okay. Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Biden, for your information, there is pretty much no way that he wins the state of Maine. Um, he might grab Oklahoma. No, Tennessee is definitely still too close to call. It is a lot. Oh, that's because Bloomberg is really competing with Biden here. At least so far in rural counties, Bloomberg is doing decently. He's won 2 counties so far. Biden is. Biden is doing all right. Bloomberg just took the lead in Tennessee. I think it's gonna change between those two. I wouldn't count Sanders out. But who will win Tennessee? That's really, really interesting. That actually Bloomberg is not failing horribly. I guess they retracted those results in Arkansas. Why? I don't know. Maybe there was an error reporting them or something like that. North Carolina. Let's take a look. Has any? No, nothing has happened in North Carolina. They're really taking their sweet time to report the votes. Texas. Sanders leads substantially so far. But also Biden's leading in. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So the reason Sanders has a substantial lead right now is because Webb County is reporting, and that is a county that he's going to do well in. Hidalgo County, Cameron County. I think Sanders is going to win those counties. They're pretty favorable for him. I think Biden will probably win Tarrant and Dallas County. El Paso, that will be interesting. I think Sanders is probably going to win there, but Biden might do a bit better because of Beto's endorsement. Okay, let's take a quick look at the overall picture here. A win for Bloomberg in Tennessee would be a much needed sigh of relief for his campaign, because he hasn't won a single state so far. Biden won some of his stronger states. Yeah. Biden also leads in Massachusetts. Let's take a look at that, because that's probably another scenario where it's reported. If Biden won Massachusetts, that would be a big freaking deal. No, but Warren. Okay, so Biden's doing out here in the middle of nowhere pretty well, and Warren is doing well in suburban counties. I guess that's suburbs. Yeah, Quincy is a suburb. No, Nantucket. The all important precinct. It's not reported. Family around the Nantucket Martha's Vineyard area. It'll be interesting to see how that those few precincts vote. There aren't a lot. Bloomberg took the lead in Tennessee, and that is because more good rural counties. It is a good sign that Biden is leading in the only county with substantial. Oh, yeah. Oh no, never mind. He's not. Bernie's leading in one. Bloomberg's leading in one. The largest one that has reported substantial votes. Bloomberg has apparently won that county. Bloomberg is actually doing pretty well in the state of Tennessee. I have to admit. So I don't know why it keeps reverting to this, because Biden has won North Carolina. Texas, Sanders, his lead will be interesting to see how that develops. Especially with strong support among Hispanic Americans. Wow. Okay. So in some Virginia counties, the establishment consolidation around him is so effective that he is close to Clinton's margins, as in Clinton's vote totals in some counties. The only county really outstanding is Prince George. And it is safe to say that Biden will win in a shocking and crushing landslide in the state of Virginia. That could be mostly attributed to strong margins in Prince William County. Fairfax actually is not reported fully, but he's doing well there. London County, he's done pretty well in Richmond, not quite as well. Chesterfield County, Norfolk, all those places. Um, yeah, huh. If Sanders won, I'm sorry, if Biden won, what's it called? Wow. Okay, so Sanders leads in initial results in Raleigh. Pardon me. Um, they might have to. Maybe they won't take back the projection because it's very initial results. Um, but Bloomberg is doing all right. I guess he just got killed in Virginia, and that's really it. Okay, no, never mind. Biden leads in every state except Texas and Vermont, which he obviously did not win. Uh, Tennessee is 5% reporting. It's really a contest at this point between Bernie Sanders and Mike Bloomberg and Joe Biden for Tennessee. Uh, and the fact that Pete is still somewhat viable here really tells the story. Maine. Let's see what's going on there. Yeah, the threshold is going up for the next debate. That is not surprising. Um, that means Gabbard is probably... Yeah, Sanders is favored, but not too overwhelmingly. Notice how some of these areas are so sparsely populated that you're just not getting really any precincts. Like compared to they have that township, and this township is like an eighth of the state, and you just know that that's gonna be one of those townships with like 8 people living there, or nobody's gonna vote. So Tulsi won American Samoa, which is a nice. Oh no, sorry, not one. She won a single delegate in American Samoa. Just refreshing. For someone who has done so god awfully in every other primary. It is her quote unquote home state. It is not a state, I know, but Tulsi Gabbard was born there. And she moved to Hawaii, and then that's how she got elected. Hmm. Okay, so. Huh. Biden's lead in North Carolina has not quite expanded. And that is because Sanders leads in initial results in Wake County. Bloomberg is doing more strongly. Also, I'm not gonna say that. Okay, so Biden is back at a healthy but not overwhelming lead. That is because Sanders leads in initial results from Raleigh. And, again, not a lot of African American voters have had their votes yet. This is mostly white people voting right now. Actually, mostly white rural people who have a lot of their precincts reporting. Or maybe not. A lot of these are initial results. But the counties that have actual precincts reporting, those are all pretty much white majority. Hmm. Yeah, okay. I doubt Tulsi's gonna make the debate, unfortunately for her. Um, it's too little, too late. One delegate in American Samoa apparently cannot get you back onto the debate stage. Uh, huh. Biden is still, although I expect Warren to possibly take the lead because she's leading in Boston suburbs, which means she could win Boston. Buttigieg is still at 8% in Oklahoma. I guess the establishment consolidation has not been effective everywhere. Although his vote share is declining as more and more votes come in. Let's see what's coming out at the Biden camp right now. Because after they haven't had any states called for them in a bit. I know there was a lot of anxiety about margins in these southern states, in California, whether Biden could win there. Hmm. Okay. Um, Nothing really yet about the too close to call states per se. However, we do have poll closings. My bad. Out of Arkansas, um, and the key race alert, and that is that the state of Arkansas, the Democratic primary is too close to call as of now. We do not have a leader in the state of Arkansas, though it is predicted that either Biden or Bloomberg will probably win the state. Okay, Texas got way narrower. Tennessee flipped back to Sanders. We are about to find out why. Okay, it's because Sanders and more rural counties are coming in for him. Rutherford County. You know, that's actually a sizable county where he is doing well. Oh, that's just because Bloomberg is cannibalizing Biden's vote shares. Biden leads in some states and is not leading in some others. Texas, he is down narrowly. Mike Bloomberg is right behind him. That is because Biden is winning in Dallas, but not by a lot at all. Pretty narrow, actually. It's actually very narrow. Fort Worth could be stronger for him, although I could be wrong. Biden's having some good nights, having some not so good. Yeah, fortunately for Sanders, California moved up, but I guess. Okay, his margin has gotten a little bit bigger. It's now 8 points for Biden. And that is because, yeah, Charlotte is starting to report more votes. And Biden's wins in Fayetteville, and I'm assuming Guilford County, although it could certainly, Biden could certainly lose there. We could be looking at a contested convention, from what I'm seeing. Because Biden had a big win in Virginia. He's gonna win North Carolina, unless he somehow wins Maine, which would be really weird. But I doubt that's happening. Or Massachusetts, um, especially since Bloomberg might win some states in this primary season. You can see Tennessee is starting to swing back to Biden/Bloomberg. Okay, So Bloomberg has not won any support. It's not not any support. He has won support. He has not won any states so far. Okay. So Bloomberg's strength thus far is coming out of a few counties that he is leading in. Knoxville, Nashville, Memphis, and Chattanooga, which is down here. Those will all make or break rather, the race. Yeah, I guess Sanders is probably because he's third in a lot of these states right now. Not Tennessee though yet. 13% in North Carolina reporting. Let's see what's going on there. Okay, so troubling signs for Warren out of Massachusetts. And Biden's advantage in Mecklenburg County is actually not overwhelming because Sanders is siphoning off a lot of support. I'm sorry, Buttigieg. It doesn't look like Biden's going to get another overwhelming win, another blowout in North Carolina. I could be wrong. It looks like he'll win comfortably, but not overwhelmingly, just because Bloomberg is doing well enough so far. Although we don't have a lot of results from Fayette. Okay, wow, voter turnout is not great in North Carolina, or maybe it is. Maybe just there aren't a lot of Democrats, but oh no, there are. There's just a lot more people around here voting than I thought there would be. Not a lot of people out of Charlotte voting. Not a lot of people out of Fayetteville voting. At least in comparison, the margins in these areas are bigger, more advantageous. We're gonna have to watch a lot of these races really, really closely. For a second, I thought it said that Bernie Sanders won. Texas, Biden narrowly leads, and that is probably, although I could be wrong, because of his advantage in the Dallas metro. It is. Yeah, he's winning some rural counties too, which I guess pushed him over the top. He's also leading in the Dallas metro. Sanders is leading in Webb County, a more border region county, I guess it would be fair to say. Yeah, Bloomberg is unlikely to win though. Hmm. Yeah, so Texas is a big deal. If there's a virtual tie in this state, then probably no candidate can be able to generate momentum. I'm saying that if we see a margin like this, or if we see Sanders win by like a tenth of a percentage point, like he was. Um, okay. Um, so we are seeing a ultra competitive Super Tuesday, so far. And Sanders still leads in Tennessee. Biden's lead has expanded in Massachusetts, but again, that is not. You can already see Biden's lead is starting to erode in Maine, and that's because he's going to lose. Uh, where did they say there was high voter turnout? Because not a lot of people are voting in North Carolina, at least in the urban areas. Arkansas. Are there results? Probably not. No. That's another state that Bloomberg may or may not be able to win. Although, currently all he's doing is taking away from Biden. He's not winning any states right now. Okay. A Tennessee win would be good for Bernie Sanders. I mean, a let's see what's going on in Oklahoma because we haven't checked in on them in a while. Okay, really. Whoa. This is all over the place. Klobuchar's winning a county, Warren's winning a county, Biden's winning counties. They're tied counties. They're counties that Mike Bloomberg's winning, Bernie's winning counties. Everyone's winning counties. Everyone can have a county. But in the largest one, which is Oklahoma County, or at least the one that's reporting the most. Oh, Oklahoma County is Oklahoma City, and Biden leads there narrowly. Wow. These are some really weird things we're seeing going on in a lot of these states. The fact that Buttigieg is still at 7% in North Carolina is a bit weird to me. But I guess it's partly because there are not a lot of votes reporting. Yeah, Raleigh, we're seeing initial results. Is the largest city indicated by... Okay, that's the state capital, not the largest city, so I think Raleigh is bigger. But I guess Biden's lead with African Americans might flip that county. Okay, yeah, his lead is sort of expanding. And why? We don't know, because... Oh, it's probably another rural county that's coming in. Never mind. Virginia is close to, if not, yeah, close to 100% reporting. The only, few counties that are scattered, plus Prince George County. As in a few precincts, not counties. I don't know why I said counties. Yeah, Sanders is probably going to do pretty well in Texas in the upcoming minutes as more and more areas begin to report their votes. Especially areas like Austin, where Sanders is expected to win pretty healthily. I don't know what's happening in Tennessee. Okay, so Sanders is leading out of initial results out of Knox County. Memphis and Nashville have yet to report. This is like defying every... Oh, Arkansas results. What's going... Okay, they accidentally reported results early. It's way too early to call, but Biden is stronger in rural areas here, I guess. Yeah, but we're gonna have to watch Massachusetts. I don't think Biden's gonna be able to get anywhere close in Massachusetts, but it'll be worth watching whether Sanders or Warren can pull off a win in that state. I could be wrong. I really doubt it though. It's only 1% of precincts reporting. Yeah, Bloomberg is not dropping out, which is bad news for the Biden campaign. Yeah, Biden's lead in Maine is quickly eroding, and it's going to be gone probably in a matter of minutes because more townships are coming in, and they're not coming in for Biden. Um, okay, it keeps resetting to like these really old headlines. I don't know why it's stuck on this. Let's go. Let's go to results. Yeah, he doesn't expect, pardon me, great results. Arkansas, Biden leads very substantially in that state. However, very few results reporting. North Carolina, what's up there? 9-point lead for Biden currently, and that is because, well, Raleigh has not really come in that much. Charlotte is stagnating. Greensboro is stagnating, and Fayetteville is also stagnating. So it's mostly rural counties that are coming in right now, reporting more and more votes. There's probably a bit of nervousness from the Biden camp that maybe they might lose Tennessee because Sanders has about a lead of about 1 percentage point in that state right now. I'm gonna use a 538 model. Because you can use a model by 538 to predict the likelihood of what's going to happen. Warren will get a delegate in Virginia. Yeah, okay, this is mostly the early vote in Virginia. Biden is doing a lot worse with the early vote. But Nate Silver said he's going to expect Virginia-esque margins out of the not early vote in Virginia. Sorry, North Carolina. Take a quick peek back here. We've done what is Bloomberg talking about? He's saying we've done something no one else thought was possible. That's kind of a load of BS. He spent 500 million on ads. If anything, people would have expected him to have won somewhere other than American Samoa. Although the primary there, I will admit, very very important. All 6 delegates, 5 of which went to Bloomberg. I don't know what he's on if he thinks that he's defying anybody's expectation. Oh, okay, no, that is fair. He went from being at 3% to polling at second or third. Biden is still winning Arkansas. We're not gonna call it because these are not urban areas. Nobody lives there. But sorry, back on my point. Is that whoa? Okay. Bloomberg has seen growth, but it's just because he has money, not on virtue of he's a great candidate. I'm not saying he's not a great candidate, although I'm not a huge fan of him. I'm not going to try and force my beliefs on somebody else. But, Mike Bloomberg is sort of, I don't know what he expected to happen. Okay, so Biden's margin is growing, and that is because I now understand why Pete Buttigieg was at 7%. That was because this was the early vote. His margin is now growing. Okay, I know it's still rural counties. At least so far. Whoa. Massachusetts, Warren is now leading. Maine is still in the Biden column. Oklahoma and Arkansas are in the Biden column. Tennessee swung back towards the 2 moderates. Why is that? Okay, more rural counties around I would be surprised if Joe Biden didn't win Memphis, considering every other county surrounding Memphis has voted for him. Uh, Nashville, probably going to be either. Okay, so Sanders, the reason he is leading right now is because he has a boost in initial results from Knoxville. Um, if these are just early votes, also, that would be a good sign for Biden because Biden is surging with people who are deciding later. That's true with all moderates. Amy Klobuchar, you see the same phenomenon there. Um, hmm. Whoa, that is a outdated reporter thingy-mabobber because Warren is up in Massachusetts by 7 points currently. I think Arkansas is going to be a Biden win, although I'm not going to jinx it and say anything too early. Uh, hmm. Oh, Tennessee just went back into the Biden column, and I'm guessing it's either because Knoxville flipped, he's winning Nashville, or yeah, another rural county came in. Uh, Bloomberg is winning Chattanooga in initial results. And I guess is Biden no, Biden is not second there. I don't know how he's doing so well. I say so well in quotations. He has a lead of less than half a percentage point. Um, I mean, it is nerve-wracking at this point for the Biden campaign. Texas is very close. Let's see what's going on there because Sanders' lead has sort of been inching up. Um, yeah. Oh, Fort Worth is Sanders leads there, although not a lot of. Actually, no, a substantial amount of precincts are reporting. You can say with both Dallas and Fort Worth that, I mean, to be completely honest with you, chances are is that they're gonna flip flop. Harris County also are gonna be results are gonna sort of flip flop around. Um, we're seeing mixed results in rural counties. In Texas. Yeah, and now the results in Tennessee are probably reflecting a bit more of what's actually going to happen. Oh yeah, no, this is a sizable county. It is a suburb of Fayetteville. And Sanders leads there narrowly in initial results. Biden still has a lead in the state, but it is not as big. Oh my gosh, it is not as big as at all. He went from 22 points to 6 or 7. Um, Oh no, Biden's leading by what? How did he go from 7 to? No, that's just the computer's bad math. Yeah, no, that is the computer's really bad math. Uh, Biden only leads by 7 in Arkansas. Oklahoma. Let's see what's going on there. Yeah, Sanders doing well with Latinos. He also leads in Tulsa, at least for now. Um, Oklahoma County still initial results, so I guess you have to credit Biden's lead growing a tiny bit with rural counties. And North Carolina, I guess I'm hoping that a lot of not old results will come in soon. We are coming up on our 9 o'clock poll closings, which means more toss-ups, or more races that have toss-up potential. Rather, Minnesota. Uh, Klobuchar dropping out. Matt Sanders is favored, but by how much? We have no idea. So another county at a Charlotte reported. Okay, So Biden is beginning to run up the margin in Charlotte. But again, run up the margin, it's in quotes. He's not literally running up the margin. He's only up by 7 points, but that is better than 2 points about 30 minutes ago. So we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere because I'm going to be right back. I'm just getting more water. And we're going to continue looking at this really thrilling primary season. I will leave the live results for each state on. So nobody, in case you don't have a New York Times subscription, you can see what's going on. I'll be right back. All right, everyone, we are back. And what has changed? Biden's lead has expanded in the state of Oklahoma, while it has shrank in Arkansas. He leads by 7 points in Oklahoma, and let me guess, no, it's not Oklahoma City. Again, it's more rural counties. He's not leading in any sizable. Well, actually, no, he is. Mays County is sizable in quotations, 30 precincts, but for Oklahoma, that's not half bad. Okay. We've received more results. And Biden still leads pretty much majority of these rural counties. It looks like Bloomberg will get delegates from most of these states. Biden's lead in Tennessee has are these early votes? It's really hard to tell. The whole initial results, it's possible that all of those are early votes. So Biden leads by about 11 in North Carolina. I don't think we're going to see quite a big margin as in Virginia. Sanders has potential to do well in a lot of these places that haven't reported a lot of results. I'm not sure how much of this is early vote and how much of this is later vote. And polls are about to close for the 9 o'clock poll closings. So, oops. Why is that? Okay, that's weird. But regardless, so here's how the race currently stands in all of these states. We're going to go back to our big ol' overview. If it ever comes back to life. Okay, there. Alabama, North Carolina, Virginia, all obviously called for Joe Biden. Vermont, it's the same. Texas is too close to call. Arkansas, too close to call. Massachusetts, too close to call. Maine is too early to call. Oklahoma is too close to call. Although if Biden starts to lead by double digits, we could have a projection on our hands. Sanders is leading in Arkansas, by the way. But let's take a look at how that is happening, and I think I have a pretty good guess, although my guesses have not been great tonight. Yep, it's Fayetteville. Sanders leads substantially out of initial results in Fayetteville. Biden's going to win Pulaski County, though, and that will be good for him, although I'm not going to count Bloomberg out either. Biden is still pretty favored Yeah, a few votes are reported. We don't know much. Tennessee, let's take a look at the state of the race there. So Biden's campaign says they're doing well. Cal Cunningham won his primary. Biden is apparently pretty likely to win not Arkansas. Oh my God, what am I saying? Well, Arkansas too, but Tennessee. He has a 95% chance of winning there, according to the New York Times. And let me guess, Texas, southern counties for Bernie, either that or Fort Worth / Dallas / Houston is flipped. Austin. Yeah, okay. So, Austin, Bernie Sanders is doing really well there. Leon County, wherever the hell that is. Where is that? I think it's one of those irrelevant counties, but I don't want to say that by accident and then figure out that it's like either a suburb or oh my God, where is it? Okay, if I can't find it on the map, then it's probably not too relevant. What? Oh, okay, no, that has reported. So Biden feels good about what's going on the ground. Good for him, but there are a lot of signs of concern and good things for Biden. A sign of concern, I guess, is that Bernie Sanders is leading, at least for now, in Arkansas. A good sign is that Biden is up almost by 9. Actually, no, that's not almost by 9. It's just 8. He's up by 8 in Oklahoma, a state that I personally thought that Bloomberg would do quite well in. Although he is doing quite well in, he is in a close third behind Bernie Sanders. Yeah. Yeah, you can see as more late votes come in, you can see Biden's margins expand. That the exception to that rule, I guess, would probably be Texas. Yeah, North Virginia is as pro-establishment as anywhere. Pardon me. The guy who said that is completely right. It is a lot of Democrats there. They're either African Americans who support more centrist candidates or former Republicans. And I doubt too many former Republicans are probably going to vote for Bernie because a lot of these former Republicans are moderates who have been turned off by Trump, or people like myself actually. Um, and I myself am a Biden supporter, and a lot of people like me are Biden supporters, which explains why he's getting in the 50s in a lot of these places. So Sanders did get some delegates. Will Biden get? Biden looks like he's going to be viable in Vermont, although by how much remains to be definitely seen. Biden leads by 12 in the state of North Carolina. Bloomberg's margin is sort of beginning to shrivel up. It might really die as more of the later vote begins to report itself. Somerville, where's that? Where's that? Oh, it's over here. And I bet you that. Oh no, what? How is Biden? That's weird. But Biden is showing surprising strength in Massachusetts, at least so far. Whether he gets absolutely trampled as more results come in remains to be seen. Okay, no, it really looked like Mike Bloomberg was winning somewhere. Mike Bloomberg is not winning anywhere in the state. Mike Bloomberg is actually not winning any states, although, again, like I said, did win the all-important caucus in American Samoa. Yeah, right now, Tennessee is looking like Bloomberg's best state. That is why Biden's lead is sort of meh there, even though Hillary won pretty big. How Biden is leading in Maine is beyond me, but that's gonna, again, that is pretty likely to change somewhat shortly. And how Biden is leading, oh, because he took the lead in here. And you can see his vote totals are crawling up in states as more and more of the later vote, I guess you could say, comes in. Let's take a look at Maine, because that is really abnormal. Could it be because just not a lot of, yeah, Portland hasn't come in, although all of these places are pretty small. Yeah, I guess they don't really. Maine is a very small state, so I guess they can sort of do the township thing and get away with it. Oh no, these don't even have townships. They're so small that they just do the whole county. Yeah, no, if you think that Biden's gonna win, Maine, you've obviously have not been paying attention to the polls, because a poll like pretty recently had Sanders up 17 in Maine. Whether that will happen tonight or not remains to be seen. Yeah. So Biden leads in Oklahoma, Tennessee. He is down in Arkansas, at least for now. Okay, no additional states have been called for Biden, and we're not going to call any more states until we have. Tennessee is reporting results ridiculously quickly, and Joe Biden's margin is also increasing quite healthily. Although I would not call it a stable lead quite yet. It's only about 6 points. Oklahoma is a comfortable lead. If Bernie, if Biden were to maintain his Maine margin, which he won't, that would be a comfortable lead. Actually, North Carolina got a little bit more competitive, and I'm guessing. Yep, it's because of this county, which Bernie's winning. You know, this is all the early vote, I think, still, or at least mostly. There are a few rural counties that are reporting results, which I guess explains Biden's comparative strength. Polls have closed in the state of Minnesota. Whoa, that's. Oh my gosh, this thing is all over the place. Biden is leading in more rural counties. Sanders is still actually leading quite substantially in Tulsa. Nashville is like an absolute toss-up. They can't. I'd imagine that Biden is going to win Memphis. A exit poll has Biden up in Minnesota. There is no way that is happening either. I think they might have oversampled his people or something. Jesus Christ, no way. Maybe Klobuchar could have won it, but that is like Sanders County, if there ever was Sanders County. I don't know what to think about that. Yeah, no, Joe Biden's counties really aren't reporting too many votes, at least compared to the other places. Yeah, it's definitely too early. I can see both the Biden and the Sanders campaigns claiming victory. I can't see the Bloomberg campaign declaring victory unless they won. He somehow manages to pull a victory from the ashes of Tennessee, because Biden's sort of crawling up to his Oklahoma margin. I'm gonna check on how the Republican incumbents who are being primaried are doing. Actually, we're gonna take another short break, and very short break. I'll leave the results on. Again, you can see what's going on, and I'll come back with more analysis. I'll also try and gather some more info while on the way. All right, everyone, I am back. And nothing has happened. Uh, hmm. Something new just come out? No, nothing did. Yeah, Biden looks like he's going to be viable in Vermont. That's good news for him, although it's sort of irrelevant, at least at this point. Sanders looks like he's probably going to win Knoxville. Let's see. What are Biden's odds in Oklahoma? I guess they think he's favored by how much is the question. Tennessee. How is Biden doing there? Biden's pretty overwhelmingly favored there. I think it's oh, really? Biden is doing okay, I guess. Oh, because he still leads in Dallas, right? He's leading barely in Harris County. Sanders is winning Austin by actually. I guess that's because college students are the main demographic there. Yeah, El Paso is also going to be interesting. Because maybe Biden can do like a bit better there. Comparatively. Colorado, Sanders leads. Minnesota, Biden leads. Colorado, I don't know why they haven't called that yet. Okay, we might have a projection soon. The stream health is not great. So Biden is apparently the projected winner in the state of Tennessee. So we'll give you that in a moment. Um, there was a weather-induced delay. Interesting, because I did not think that. Oh, actually, no. That makes a lot of sense. There's just a tornado. Okay. It'll be interesting to see though how much he can win Tennessee by. Um, whether it's a lot of votes or not a lot of votes. That will be something to look at. If we could only get to our projection slide, then maybe we would be able to give people results. We're not calling Colorado yet because nobody has voted there. However, as I just mentioned, Tennessee, Joe Biden is the projected winner in that state. A big sigh of relief for him. It looked like at one point that Bernie could pull away and pull it off, but apparently not. So Biden carries Tennessee. That's great news for him. New York Times has not called it. Oh no, they just did. Never mind. Minnesota, Biden leads. What? It's probably because like one county has. Okay. Oh, no. Oh my God. It's Minneapolis. Biden is killing it in Minneapolis. Oh my God. Whether that will continue or not is sort of to be determined, I guess. But wow. If he were to keep up that margin and win Minnesota, that would also be a big freaking deal. Because no poll ever has even suggested or came close to suggesting that Biden could be competitive there. But yeah, if Biden winning Minnesota, I kind of doubt it though. You know, I find it difficult to believe that Biden would carry Minnesota. I feel like it's sort of wishful thinking at best. Why do we have Colorado here? Why do I care about Colorado? I don't care about Colorado. Or maybe I do. But it's not looking like anyone other than Sanders is going to win Colorado. So let's go back to North Carolina because I want to see how Biden's doing there. Okay, yeah, 12-point lead currently. And that is because Fayetteville's almost all in. Sanders actually leads in Raleigh, at least for now. What else? Oklahoma is probably most likely to be our next projection. Actually, no, Colorado and then Oklahoma. Or maybe not, because either Sanders or Bloomberg, they have a lot of room to sort of recover, if you will, especially since Sanders does appear to be leading in the second largest city in Oklahoma, fairly substantial. Yeah. By the way, I'm praying for you all in Tennessee. I'm hoping everything's okay with you guys, because that tornado, I heard about it. It was pretty bad. And I'm glad that you're able to vote, I guess. And I'm glad that not people are hurt, but I'm not glad that people hurt, but I'm glad that fewer people are hurt, and I'm glad that it didn't interfere with the democratic process. And who just called Oklahoma for Biden? Because apparently somebody did, and if they did, then we will call it for Biden. But that is no. What? It says 61% reporting for some people, and then. Okay, no, we are not calling it. A pro-Biden person called it for Joe. We're not doing that. Wait, people are calling it for Biden. We're gonna have to we're gonna have to revisit that because we might have a projection on our hands. At this point, I don't think it's enough of a margin to call it for him quite yet. And why did Joe's margin shrink? Or did it? No, it's the same. He's actually, I thought he was winning by like 15 points here. He's not, he's winning by 9. You know, it's, huh. It's really something. It's really something. Let's take a look at Alabama. We haven't gone there in a while, and we've not visited their thing. Oh my God! Wow. If that were to, yikes! Bernie is not even viable right now in Alabama. He's getting blown out of the water. And, yep. See, these are the rural African American counties that I was talking about, and I said they would deliver for Biden, and they did. Actually, they sort of delivered for Bloomberg too. The only person they didn't deliver for was Bernie Sanders, who, for example, is at 3% in this county. Biden is at almost 76%. I told you we would see these margins, although I actually did say we wouldn't see them getting into the 70s. I was wrong, but we are seeing these high margins. I was correct in predicting we would see high margins in a lot of these African American rural counties. And he's really, I think Alabama could very well be Biden's strongest performance, other than maybe Louisiana and Mississippi, because the electorate is very African American there. Very, very African American. Yeah, Little Rock hasn't even come in and Joe Biden leads, so that's a pretty good sign. Also, a lot of these counties have not come in, all of which Biden will probably lead or be very close in. Okay, we have our 9:30 poll closings coming up, if there are any. We're about to find out. Nope. We don't have any more. At least not on our slide. Yeah, Utah is 10, and that is when the stream ends. Yeah, I don't know who called Oklahoma for Biden, but oh no, never mind. NBC did. I was wrong. So that means we're gonna call it for him in just a moment. Give us a moment. This win in Oklahoma is very good news for Biden. It basically means that Bloomberg, chances are, unless he does well in Arkansas, is not going to win a state. Yeah. Tennessee, it seems close now. Yeah. And close is in quotations because Biden's lead has actually expanded quite well. It's now at 9 points, you know, it's not too shabby. But in the meanwhile, what happened here? Oh, we're on the wrong thing. Okay, there we go. Joe Biden is the projected winner in the Oklahoma primary. He will not get any superdelegates because no one has endorsed from Oklahoma yet, or at least not yet. I don't know if Bernie's gotten any Oklahoma endorsements. But Biden wins Oklahoma. NBC called it. No. We're going to call it. Bitter disappointment from Bloomberg, I have to say. In fact, he couldn't win Oklahoma, and that's the state that he was polling best in. I mean, he's not going to do so well. I mean, I guess his excuse to stay in the race is like, at least I won American Samoa, but really? I mean, that's sort of... poor argument at best. I'm trying to see what Biden is hyped about. Okay. Maine, yeah, okay. There we go. Sanders is back in the lead, like it should be. Again, not throwing my bias into there, because actually I don't like Bernie Sanders, but rather it is more reflecting the demographic trends that I would expect to see out of a state like Maine. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's really disappointing for Bloomberg, because he also thought he could do well in Maine, I believe. Okay. I keep confusing myself whenever I see the thing revert back to Biden +7 in North Carolina. Oh yeah, well yeah, we have to look at that primary challenge too in Texas, because that's gonna be interesting to watch. Yeah, Biden's margin is stagnating because Wake County is reporting and nowhere else. Greensboro is stuck. Cumberland County hasn't reported any precincts in probably about an hour. Fortunately, for Biden, in the terms of margins, he's already projected to win the state. But as you can see, a lot of Sanders' votes, actually almost all of them, are coming out of here. This Buncombe, okay, that county, we'll call it B County. Biden, a lot of his votes are coming out of Fayetteville. He still has some substantial votes left there. He also has a lot of votes that can come out of Greensboro, assuming he still leads there. And if he can take the lead in Raleigh, that will be pretty good for him. Apparently Warren is not doing so well in Massachusetts. Oh, because Biden is lead. That's, it would be easier to call if they just released all the results at once, and then we could know that Biden's not going to win Massachusetts. I'll take a quick look at Texas. It's probably Austin. It's breaking for Bernie. Maybe Houston? No. It is Austin. Wow, okay. So Bernie is blowing the other candidates out of the water in Austin. And his margin is pretty much reliant upon that, at least for now. Though just leaving Tarrant County also. Again, but I'm saying he's reliant upon that. That's not a losing strategy. That is a winning strategy in a state like Texas. And it's just a good sign for him that he's winning so overwhelmingly in Austin. Assuming he wins Austin by a similarly overwhelming margin, that would sort of show that, his base is fired up and he's ready to stay in this basically for the long haul. And another thing worth noting is that Mike Bloomberg knows he did awfully because he's already in Florida. That's another state that I think Biden's probably going to win. Maybe I don't think it would be as big a margin as Alabama. It would be more in respects to maybe North Carolina, what we're seeing there right now. All right, let's look at Tennessee. Oh, okay, yeah, so Biden's back Biden is definitely back. He's leading 12 points in Tennessee, and that is because of Memphis. Um, Sanders still leads in Knoxville, interestingly enough. Yeah, this is kind of weird that Biden is doing so well because his resources were awful, like god awful, in all these states. Um, Buttigieg is still polling relevantly ish. Um, his infrastructure bad. He doesn't have too many endorsements. I don't believe any major officials. Maybe one congressman. Um, it's just really, really shocking uh, that he's doing as well as he is in Tennessee. Arkansas, his margin is sort of crawling up. I think there's another one that he's gonna probably win. Yeah, Little Rock, where he's probably most advantaged in, as well as a lot of these counties. Although I guess he is leading in Fort Smith. Not by a lot though. Um, a lot. Pulaski County, Mississippi County, St. Francis County, Phillips County, Desha County, all these counties, they're all going to probably break for Biden, and that can increase his margin in Arkansas substantially. Yeah, Warren could finish third in her own home state. I would be shocked if she did not drop out after that. I want to see what's going on with 538 because they can give us some insight that other places cannot. Um, Mike Bloomberg, I'm sorry, not Mike Bloomberg, Joe Biden, his endorsement counter has also slowly increased over the night as it's progressed. He's gotten more and more endorsements. Jim Costa from California, Congressman Abigail Spanberger from Virginia, an endangered congresswoman from that area. Um, hmm. So, looking decent for Biden so far. But I think Sanders is going to win Texas. Um, Also, we're going to look at the GOP primary, I guess, in Alabama GOP Senate primary. Can Jeff Sessions win there? Actually, they probably called it for him. I wouldn't be entirely surprised. Oh no, Jeff Sessions is like way behind, but that's I think because not a lot of votes are reporting. We have about 30 minutes left in the live stream. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Biden's lead just grew substantially in Arkansas. We could have the. Oh, yep, knew it. It's Little Rock. Biden leads by 6 points in Little Rock, Arkansas. Biden's lead has sort of stayed in the same territory in North Carolina, and that is because results have been like crawling in. Oh, Klobuchar won a single town in Vermont. Good job, Amy. And Deval Patrick actually got 10%. Wow. It's not something you see every day. Deval Patrick getting votes is like a very rare occurrence. Yeah, Biden leads in Tennessee by 12. He leads in Oklahoma by 11, and they have called the race for him there too, I think, in the New York Times. No, they haven't. Arkansas leads by 6. Minnesota leads by 3. Massachusetts leads by 6. Yeah, African Americans went 3-1 for Biden in Tennessee. That's why he is leading. There, by a lot more than expected. Alabama is really not going so fast. Biden currently, well, okay, that is something. Again, it's those rural counties that have majority African American populations. Like this one. It's actually a sort of ex-urban county, but my point still stands. Let's see, where is... So Biden has won 4 states. Sanders has won 1 state and probably is going to win Colorado. Probably going to call that sometime soon for Sanders, although let's take a look. Okay, so Biden is 16 points behind. Bloomberg is second right now. That is because, oh, Denver has not reported at all. No calls will come out of Minnesota anytime soon. I can assure you that. Yeah, definitely a disappoint. I'd say the big loser of tonight is probably Mike Bloomberg. Because I think he expected to win like at least 1 state, and that did not happen. Closest he got was Tennessee, where I think he's in like the 20%, something like that. Okay. This means that the Acela primaries are also going to be pretty important. Okay. So, other than the results in the South, things are going fairly smoothly for the Sanders campaign, and other than Texas, where Biden is down by a bit too much than they would probably like, things are going well for the Biden campaign. You know, they've won a lot of the states they've need to. As long as they get Arkansas and Oklahoma, they've already gotten Oklahoma according to our projection. Let's look at the race there though. But as long as they win those 2 states, they'll still be in a good situation. Okay. Let's see if we can find anything more. Yeah, Mike Bloomberg is already ignoring the fact that he's doing god awfully everywhere. We have another projection coming up fairly shortly. I think you can imagine what it would be. Just to give you an idea, this state is not exactly going to be too competitive. At least it's not looking like it. It is an area where this candidate was strongly favored, and also where this candidate's ideals have gone very far, despite not having a single endorsement. And so we can now project that Bernie Sanders will win the Colorado caucus. It's actually a primary, or maybe it is a caucus, but Bernie Sanders carries Colorado. Yeah, I'm really not surprised that Bloomberg won American Samoa. I mean, I know it's an irrelevant primary, but I keep going back to it. He's the only one who had any ground game at all there. He's actually the only person who I think remotely cared about winning the primary. Yeah. You know, Greensboro is actually a bigger city than I thought it would be. Just to give you an idea of how badly Mike Bloomberg is doing, North Carolina, in some polls, he was polling second to Bernie, and he has won a single county. And just for reference, it's the county that like 100 people voted for, like, the Democratic nomination overall. Not for him. There was a voter turnout in this county of 100 people. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I guess Biden still looks viable in Vermont. We're gonna end our live stream now, because we're not gonna get really anything substantial, other than maybe a call out of Arkansas, which, I mean, if Bernie won Arkansas, that would be pretty much impossible. And Biden is leading in Maine again. Okay. Regardless, we're gonna end this live stream now. Okay. All right, we're gonna sign off. Thank you all for watching. It's been a good night, fun live stream, and I hope to all see you in my next one, which will probably either be Michigan, Wisconsin, and Louisiana, or the Acela primaries. All right, thank you.